James was a quiet man. He lived in a small town where everyone knew each other. James was 75 years old. His hair was white like snow, and his skin told the story of many years spent working hard and loving his family. He had lived a long life, full of good times and hard times. Now he lived alone in a little house on Maple Street. His wife had passed away some years ago, and his children lived far away in the city. But James was never lonely. He was kind, gentle, and loved by many people in his neighborhood. Every morning James woke up early, made himself a cup of tea, and sat by the window to watch the sunrise. He liked to see the world wake up slowly. The birds sang, and the flowers opened their petals. It was a quiet and peaceful time for him. James did not have much money. He lived on a small pension from the government. It was not enough for many things, but he was careful with his money. He bought only what he needed, and sometimes shared his food with the neighbors or stray animals. One day, James heard about a special concert coming to town. It was a music event that would bring singers and musicians from all over the country. James loved music. When he was young, he had dreamed of seeing a big concert like this, but life had been busy, and he never had the chance. Now, this concert felt like a gift to him, a moment to enjoy and feel alive again. James saved his money for weeks, counted every dollar, and put it aside in a small box. When the day came, he went to the ticket office with a hopeful heart. He was tired, but happy. After a short wait, he finally bought a ticket. It was his last money, but he did not mind. He smiled to himself as he held the ticket. This ticket was more than paper. It was a key to a special night he had been waiting for a long time. On the day of the concert, James woke up early. He dressed carefully in his best shirt and pants. He looked at himself in the mirror and smiled. "Today is your day," he said softly. He walked slowly to the bus stop, holding his ticket tightly in his hand. The air was fresh, and the sun was shining bright. James felt a small excitement inside him. It had been a long time since he felt this way. At the concert hall, many people were already waiting in line. Some talked happily. Others looked around, enjoying the atmosphere. James found his place near the back. He looked around and saw many faces of all ages and colors. The young, the old, families, and friends all had come to enjoy the music. James felt a part of something bigger than himself. He was happy to be there as he waited. He remembered the times when he was young. He thought about his children and wife. He wished they could be there with him. But he knew this moment was his, and he wanted to enjoy it fully. The music was about to start soon, and James closed his eyes for a moment. He dreamed of the songs he would hear, the voices that would fill the air. But then something caught his attention. Near him stood a young woman. She looked tired and worried. Her clothes were simple and a bit worn. James noticed she kept looking at the entrance, as if hoping for something. He saw her lips move slightly, whispering a prayer or a wish. James felt a gentle kindness growing in his heart. The young woman looked around nervously. She spoke softly to a man nearby. "I lost my job last week. I wanted to come to this concert to forget my problems just for a night, but I can't afford a ticket." James listened quietly. He did not know her name, but he could see the pain in her eyes. Life had been hard for her, just like it had been hard for him before. James thought about his own life, the times when he had little money and few hopes. He remembered the feeling of loneliness and struggle. But he also remembered the moments when someone helped him, when kindness made a difference. He wanted to give that feeling to this young woman. Holding his ticket tightly, James made a decision. This ticket was his dream, but maybe it could be someone else's hope too. He smiled gently and moved closer to the woman. "Here," he said kindly, holding out the ticket. "You can have this. I want you to enjoy the concert." The woman's eyes widened in surprise. She looked at the ticket, then at James. "No, I can't take your ticket. It is your only one." But James shook his head. "It's okay. Why? You too have it. Tonight, it is your time." Around them, some people started to notice what was happening. The air grew still for a moment. The woman's lips trembled as tears filled her eyes. She reached out and took the ticket, holding it closed like a treasure. She looked at James with deep gratitude. James turned his face away, feeling a mix of sadness and joy. He would watch the concert from outside, but his heart was full. He knew that sometimes giving something away was the greatest gift of all. The sun began to set, and the music started to play. James sat quietly on a nearby bench. He listened to the sound of voices and instruments, feeling the warmth of the night. He smiled, knowing that his kindness had made a difference. In that moment, James understood something important. Life was not just about what you had, but about what you gave. And even the smallest act of kindness could light up the darkest night. After James gave his last ticket to the young woman, everything around him seemed to slow down. The sun was dipping lower, painting the sky with soft colors of orange and pink. People around them were talking quietly, but James's mind was full of thoughts about the woman and what she had just told him. The woman's name was Maya. She was in her late 20s and had come to the town hoping for a new start. Life had not been easy for her lately. Just a week ago, she lost her job at a small store because the business had to close. Without a job, she did not have money for many things, not even a ticket to the concert she had dreamed about for months. Maya had heard about the concert from a flyer at the library. She had saved every penny she could, hoping to buy a ticket. When she went to the ticket office, all the tickets were sold out. She felt sad and defeated, but still decided to come and stand near the entrance, hoping maybe someone would be kind enough to help her. When James handed her the ticket, Maya's eyes filled with tears. She wanted to say thank you, but words seemed too small for such a big kindness. Instead, she just nodded and smiled through her tears. She felt a warmth in her heart she had not felt for a long time. James, on the other hand, turned away and sat on a bench nearby. He did not want to be a burden or draw attention to himself. He watched as Maya entered the concert hall, the ticket clutched tightly in her hand. For a moment he felt a little lonely, but mostly he felt peaceful. As Maya walked inside, the music was already playing. The lights were bright and colorful. People were smiling, clapping, and singing along. Maya's heart lifted with every note. The music was like a warm hug, wrapping around her and easing her worries. She looked around and saw families, couples, and friends, all enjoying the same moment. For Maya, this was more than a concert. It was a chance to forget her troubles, even if just for a few hours. She thought about James and the gift he had given her. She wanted to make sure his kindness was not wasted. Maya found a seat near the front. She looked at the stage where musicians played guitars, drums, and sang songs about hope, love, and courage. The songs spoke to her soul. Tears came again, but this time they were tears of joy. Back outside, James sat quietly, listening to the music from afar. He could hear the soft melodies carried by the wind. He thought about his own life, the struggles, the hard times, and the moments of happiness. Giving the ticket away had been a choice filled with both sadness and hope. As the concert went on, something surprising began to happen. Some of the people inside the hall started talking about the elderly man who gave his ticket to a stranger. The story spread quickly from person to person, touching many hearts. One of the concert organizers, a kind woman named Lisa, heard the story and decided to find James. She wanted to thank him for his kindness. Lisa walked outside and saw James sitting alone on the bench. She smiled warmly and approached him. "Hello, sir," Lisa said gently. "I heard what you did tonight. It was very kind and generous. Would you like to come inside and enjoy the concert as our guest?" James looked up, surprised. "Thank you," he said softly. "But I gave my ticket away. It's okay. I can listen from here." Lisa shook her head. "No, it's not okay. You deserve to enjoy the concert too. Please come with me." I felt a mix of emotions. He had not expected such a warm invitation. Slowly, he stood up and followed Lisa back inside. As they walked through the crowd, people smiled and nodded in respect. Some even clapped softly. When James took his seat inside the hall, he felt a little nervous, but mostly grateful. The music filled the room, and James let himself be carried away by the beautiful sounds. He closed his eyes and felt a deep joy he had not felt in years. Meanwhile, Maya noticed James's arrival. She was touched that the man who gave her the ticket was now enjoying the concert too. She wanted to thank him again, but waited for a quiet moment. After the concert, Maya found James near the exit. She smiled brightly and said, "Thank you again, James. You changed my night and my life." James smiled back. "I'm glad, Maya. Sometimes we need a little help from others. It makes life better." Maya nodded. "I will never forget your kindness. I promise to pass it on someday." James placed a gentle hand on her shoulder. "That's all I could ask for." The night ended with warm goodbyes and hopeful hearts. James and Maya walked out together, talking quietly about life and dreams. They knew this was just the beginning of a special friendship. In the days that followed, the story of James's kindness spread beyond the concert hall. Neighbors, friends, and even strangers wanted to help James in return. Some brought food, others offered small gifts. The town came together, showing how one simple act could bring so much good. James felt overwhelmed by the love and support. But more than that, he felt proud. Proud that he could make a difference even when he had little to give. Maya found a new job soon after, helped by some people she met at the concert. She kept in touch with James and visited him often. Together, they shared stories, laughter, and sometimes tears. Their friendship became a reminder to everyone in the town. Kindness is a gift that never runs out. When we give to others, we also give to ourselves. James's simple choice to give away his last ticket showed that no matter our age or situation, we all have the power to bring hope to someone else. And sometimes, hope comes back to us in the most beautiful ways. ChatGPT said, James sat quietly on the bench outside the concert hall. The night air was cool and soft, filled with the sound of music drifting out from the building. Even though he was not inside with the crowd, James felt a deep calm in his heart. He had given his ticket away, and in doing so, he had done something good. But still, a small part of him wondered what it would be like to hear the music up close. Around him, people passed by, smiling and talking excitedly about the concert. Some of them noticed James sitting alone and gave him warm nods or kind words. James returned their smiles, feeling grateful for the small kindness from strangers. Not long after, a young man approached James. His name was Daniel, and he worked as a volunteer at the concert. Daniel had heard about the story of the elderly man who gave his ticket away, told James how many people were touched by his generosity, and how the story was spreading throughout the town. Daniel said, "James, what you did was more than just giving a ticket. You gave hope. You reminded us all that kindness still exists. Would you like to come inside? We can find a way to get you a seat." James shook his head slowly. "No, thank you, Daniel. I gave my ticket away, and that's enough for me."
Oh.
Daniel smiled and said, "Please. The concert organizers want to honor you for your kindness. They have saved a special seat just for you." James felt a mixture of surprise and humility. He never expected such a welcome. After thinking for a moment, he nodded and stood up. Daniel guided him to a special place inside the hall, where James was greeted by applause from the audience. People cheered softly, moved by James's selfless act. James felt a warmth spread through his chest. He took his seat and looked around. The hall was full of happy faces, all ready to enjoy the music. The lights were soft, and the stage was set beautifully. As the music began, James closed his eyes and let the melodies wash over him. The songs spoke of life, love, and hope. They reminded him of his youth, of dreams once held, and the simple joys that still mattered. From his seat, James could see the young woman, Maya, smiling and enjoying the concert. She caught his eye and waved gently. James smiled back, feeling connected to her even in this large crowd. After the concert ended, James stood up slowly. Many people came to thank him, telling him how much his kindness inspired them. James felt shy but happy. Lisa, the concert organizer, approached him and said, "James, your story touched everyone. Here, we want to give you something to remember this night, a small gift from all of us." She handed James a photo of the concert and a letter signed by the musicians and staff. The letter spoke of gratitude, kindness, and the power of a simple good deed. James looked at the photo and the letter with tears in his eyes. He never thought his small act would mean so much. Maya joined them and hugged James tightly. "You again?" she whispered. "You changed my life." James smiled and said, "We all need kindness. I'm glad I could share mine with you." The night air was cool as they walked out of the hall together. James felt lighter than he had. In a long time, he knew this night would stay with him forever. In the days that followed, the town buzzed with news of James's generosity. Local newspapers wrote stories about the kind man who gave away his last ticket. People shared his story on social media, and messages of support and love poured in. Some neighbors brought food and gifts to James's home. Others invited him to community events. James felt the warmth of a whole town wrapped around him. Maya found a job at a nearby cafe, helped by friends she made through the concert. She visited James often. They shared stories, meals, and dreams. Their friendship grew strong, built on the kindness that started it all. James began volunteering at the local library and community center. He wanted to give back in his own way. He helped young people learn to read and listen to the stories of others. His life, once quiet and small, now overflowed with connection and purpose. One afternoon, James and Maya sat on the porch of his house. The sun was shining, birds singing nearby. Maya asked James, "Why did you give me your ticket? You could have enjoyed the concert yourself." James looked at her and said, "Life is not about what we keep. It is about what we give. I have learned that giving kindness is the greatest joy. When we help others, we help ourselves too." Maya smiled and said, "You showed me that hope can come from strangers. I will never forget you." James nodded. "And I will never forget you. Remind me that kindness lives on." Their story became a symbol in the town, a reminder that small acts of kindness can change lives. People talked about James and Maya's friendship and how it began with a simple ticket. James felt peace, knowing his life had meaning. He knew that even in difficult times, kindness could light the darkest path. And so, the elderly man who gave up his last ticket found something more precious than he had imagined: a connection, a new family, and a hope that would shine for years to come. ChatGPT said. James sat quietly in the corner of the concert hall, still amazed by how his simple act of kindness had brought him here. Just hours ago, he was outside, listening to the music from a bench, feeling both joy and a little sadness. Now he was inside, surrounded by friendly faces and the warm light of the stage. The crowd was full of people who had heard about his generosity, and many came up to shake his hand or smile warmly at him. The music filled the room with happiness. The singers sang songs about hope, love, and new beginnings. James could feel the power of the music deep inside him. It reminded him that life, even in its hardest moments, could still be beautiful. He watched the young woman, Maya, enjoying the concert with a big smile on her face. She caught his eye and nodded, and James smiled back, feeling connected to her and the moment. After the concert ended, the event organizer, Lisa, invited James to a special place where she thanked him in front of a small group of people. She told everyone how James had given his last ticket to a stranger who needed it more. The room was quiet, but everyone's eyes shone with respect and kindness for James. It was clear that his small act had made a big impact on many people, Lisa said. "James, you have reminded us all that kindness is the greatest gift we can give. You showed us what it means to care for others, even when we have little to give ourselves." She handed James a small gift-a photo album filled with pictures from the concert and notes from the musicians and attendees. James looked at the gift with tears in his eyes. He had never expected to be honored or thanked like this. To him, giving away his ticket was simply the right thing to do. But seeing how it inspired others made him feel proud and hopeful. Outside the concert hall, the night was quiet and peaceful. James walked slowly with Maya and Lisa, talking about the power of kindness and how it could change lives. Maya thanked James again, telling him how much his generosity had given her hope when she needed it most. James told her that helping others was a way of healing himself too. News of James's kindness spread quickly through the town and beyond. wrote stories about the elderly man who gave away his last ticket to a stranger. People shared his story on social media, and messages of support and admiration poured in from all over. Many people said they felt inspired to be kinder and more generous in their own lives. James's small house on Maple Street soon became a place of warmth and friendship. Neighbors brought him food, flowers, and kind words. They invited him to community events and asked him to share his story to remind everyone about the importance of kindness. James was happy, but also a little shy. He never thought of himself as a hero, just a man who wanted to help. Maya started working at a nearby cafe, thanks to friends she met through the concert. She visited James often, and together they shared stories about life, dreams, and hope. Their friendship grew strong, built on the kindness that began with a single ticket. They became like family to each other. James found new purpose in helping others. He began volunteering at the local library and community center, teaching children to read and listening to the stories of people in the town. His life, once quiet and small, became full of connection and meaning. One sunny afternoon, James and Maya sat on the porch of his house, watching the birds fly and listening to the gentle sounds of the neighborhood. Maya asked, "James, why did you give me your ticket? Could have enjoyed the concert yourself." James smiled softly and said, "Life is not about what we keep, but about what we give. Giving kindness brings joy to others and to ourselves. When we help others, we find hope and happiness too." Maya nodded, tears in her eyes. "You showed me that hope can come from the kindness of strangers. I will always remember you." James reached out and took her hand. "I will always remember you. You remind me that kindness never ends." Their story became a symbol in the town, a reminder that even the smallest acts of kindness can change lives. People spoke about James and Maya's friendship and how it started with one selfless choice. James felt peace and joy knowing his life had meaning. He understood that even in difficult times, kindness could light the darkest paths and bring people together. The man who gave up his last ticket found something far greater than he had imagined: hope, friendship, and a future full of love. As the days turned into weeks, James continued to live quietly, but with a heart full of happiness. He knew that, no matter what life brought, the power of kindness would always be with him. And he promised himself to keep sharing that kindness with everyone he met. James's life changed in many small, beautiful ways after that special night. The story of the elderly man who gave his last ticket to a stranger had spread far and wide. People all over the town and even beyond had heard about his kindness. But for James, greatest change was not the attention or the gifts he received. It was the new hope and connection he found in his own heart and life. Every morning, James woke up with a gentle smile. His little house on Maple Street was no longer quiet or lonely. Visitors often stopped by neighbors bringing fresh fruit, a warm meal, or just a friendly hello. James welcomed them with open arms, happy to share stories and laughter. The town had become a family, united by the simple but powerful act of kindness that James had shown. Maya, the young woman who received the ticket, became like a daughter. To James, she worked hard at the cafe she had found through the kindness of strangers, but she always made time to visit James. They talked about dreams, hopes, and the future. Maya told James how that night at the concert gave her strength. To keep moving forward, Shia said, "You gave me more than a ticket, you gave me belief in a better tomorrow." James often thought about that night. Giving away his last ticket had been a difficult choice, but it was also the most important choice he ever made. In that moment, he realized that life was not about holding on tightly to things, but about opening our hands to help others. And in doing so, we find true happiness. With renewed energy, James began to give back to his community in new ways. He volunteered at the library, reading stories to children and helping them with their homework. He spent time at the community center, listening to the problems of others and offering advice when he could. James's heart was full of kindness, and people noticed. They admired how someone his age could still bring so much light into the lives of others. One afternoon, a young boy named Marcus came to the library looking sad and lost. James noticed immediately and sat beside him. "What's wrong, Marcus?" he asked gently. Marcus explained that his family was going through hard times, and he felt scared and alone. James smiled kindly and said, "You are never alone. There are people who care, and I am one of them.
Ow.
Let me help you find hope." Over the weeks, James became a mentor to Marcus, teaching him not just to read, but also to believe in himself. James's kindness began to inspire others. The town started a new tradition called the Kindness Circle, where people shared stories of good deeds and helped those in need. James was always invited to speak, and his words touched many hearts. He reminded everyone that no act of kindness is too small and that everyone has the power to make the world a better place. One evening, as the sun set and painted the sky with warm colors, James sat on his porch with Maya. They watched the stars appear one by one. Maya turned to James and said, "Your kindness changed my life and the lives of many others. I want to keep this gift alive." James looked at her with a gentle smile. "That is the greatest gift of all. Kindness is like a seed. When we plant it in others, it grows and spreads." "You carry that seed now," Maya nodded, tears shining in her eyes. "I promise to keep planting kindness wherever I go." James felt a deep peace. His life had been filled with challenges, but he had found joy in giving. He knew that even though he was growing older, his spirit would live on in the kindness he shared and the love he gave. The town remembered James not just as the man who gave away his last ticket, but as a beacon of hope and kindness. His story became a legend, told to children as a lesson about the power of giving. In the end, James showed everyone that life's greatest treasures are not things we hold in our hands, but the love and kindness we share with others. His last ticket was just the beginning of a journey that touched countless lives, and in giving to a stranger, James found a new family, a new purpose, and a happiness that would shine forever.